power laptop that runs smoothly and efficiently, making your work and entertainment seamless. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have residual delays southbound I-15 coming out of Ogden toward 5600 South in Roy, but speeds are much better than they were when the crash was in play. But now all the lanes are open and the repair work has been completed. No delays on the other major roadways across the Wasatch Front. That includes I-15 in Utah and Salt Lake Valleys, the east and west side belt routes, and I-80 through Parley's Canyon. When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing convenience with Ford dealers inventory. Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota, and Truck Country, all in one place. PerformanceBountiful.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be another warm, sunny day, a forecast high of 90, which would set a record for October. Right now it's 66 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
A little bit of a spoiler alert. Our top story today is going to be what is being claimed to be the end of the 3-day-long port strike. But I think the wildest part of this story is that, Dave, when everybody was out panic buying on day 2, y'all were panic buying the wrong stuff. And I'm going to get into that at 9:20.
Diet Coke. That's all you need to panic buy. That's the only thing.
Psychology, social media shares take over, and then y'all just start buying up the toilet paper again.
It's 9:06. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are 3 things that Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
Well, we've got some good news. For some of you regarding train delays, especially in the Salt Lake City area. Mostly, this isn't about people who actually ride the trains, but if you've ever been stuck at a railroad crossing, you will love this story that Dave wants to dive into.
See, most of my train experience or complaints has been because I've been riding the trains off and on for years. I've lived near one, though. I've felt the rumble as it passes as I'm trying to take a nap. We're going to walk you through why some of these train tweaks is going to both reduce delays and keep you safe.
Countdown. 2.
Well, President Joe Biden's latest attempt? Is it his latest attempt? I've been unable to keep score on this student loan forgiveness program, so forgive me. But his latest attempt at student loan cancellation, it looks like it's been unstuck from the court process. So it seems as though, Dave, at least right now, it's all systems go. So for those of our listeners who have a student loan that you've been sitting on, not paying back because you're wondering what's going to happen, well, maybe this is good news. At least today it's good news.
This has been an unbelievable failure on so many levels. It's so frustrating because we could have been paying back student loans for the past 4 years, but because absolutely nobody knows what's going on, am I going to get them forgiven? Do I qualify? Maybe I don't qualify. Can I refinance? There is so much confusion in the student loan repayment game that we have missed out largely on 4 years of steadily paying down these student loans. And President Biden's constant piecemeal approach, I think, has been an absolute disaster.
Launch. Countdown. 1.
Well, Dave got credit for picking the train delay story for y'all at 9:35, but I won out the top story war today in our pre-show meeting. I think this is the story that y'all can relate to because of what happened back in 2020. You can now cease and desist your panic buying. The whopping 3-day East Coast port strike looks like it's ending. We're going to talk about the agreement that has tentatively been reached. But my takeaway from the last 3 days is I'm appalled over all the toilet paper and paper towel panic buying. It's like the sequel to 2020. It was wild and ridiculous that people were diving over each other for toilet paper supplies that were not even in jeopardy by this port strike. I'll explain why I just said that in just a few moments when we talk about panic buying.
You know, my mother and I immediately were like, let's go to BJ's and buy in bulk a little bit, because I have 4 boys. So I have 4 boys, my husband and I, so we have a pretty big family.
Since watching the news the last couple of days or seeing stuff online, I was like, you know what, maybe I should come in the morning and stock up before it gets crazy over here.
This is going to sound very politician of me, but I have your solution. I have the fix to panic buying, and I have the beginnings of a plan that I sort of might reveal at some point. No, I have
It's concepts of a plan.
I have concepts of a plan that I'm going to reveal at a later time. No, I have the fix for panic buying.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
But let's start with the part of the story on this Friday morning that's just going to drive my co-host Dave wild. And I want to start here with this tentative deal. At least they're going back to work for now, and they're going to work through the specifics of the deal over the next couple of months. But for all intents and purposes, the port strike has ended. And let me start here, Dave. It seems as though these workers are going to reach $69 an hour.
Are these guys surgeons? Do they open people up and remove appendixes?
At the end of the 6-year contract. So it's not going to be, now it's about $39 an hour. It's not going to be $69 right away. But over 6 years, they're going to receive like almost a 70% pay increase. Your thoughts?
That is staggering. Has anyone ever experienced or had a negotiated 70% raise? Like, we're going to hit you up about 10% for the next 6 years, maybe 12, 15, some other years. Like, that is just a staggering number. And if you're looking at just a 40-hour work week, that's $69 per hour. Am I stealing any of your thunder on this?
No, go for it.
Okay.
Thank you, though. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Because sometimes I like to steal your thunder. You're like, that was the big reveal, Dave.
Just go ahead with your SNL skit. Go for it.
$69 an hour, standard 40-hour work week to load and unload shipping
Sounds
containers.
like a ton of work, actually, but go ahead.
I'm sure it is. Yeah. It's also paying $143,000.
Mm-hmm.
That is without overtime, and there's overtime out there.
If you stop buying stuff, we wouldn't need port workers to port the stuff off of the cargo ships, David.
Why go to college? I mean, quite honestly, if you're graduating from college, why in the world would you graduate from college? Just go be a longshoreman.
That's a whole nother debate. Here's ABC News' Andrew Dimbert with more.
Work resuming immediately after an uncertain 3 days that saw ports from Maine to Texas shut down. The disruption could have potentially crippled the U.S. economy, leading to supply shortages and higher retail prices ahead of the holiday shopping season. The International Longshoremen's Association, representing 45,000 workers at East and Gulf Coast ports, reaching a deal Thursday to suspend the work stoppage. The tentative agreement with the U.S. Maritime Alliance, which represents the ports and shipping companies, will pause the strike until January 15th.
You get to play with oversized Legos all day, every day with those shipping containers. This sounds like the greatest job in history. I am basically giving my 2 weeks notice right now so I can pack it up and go move to the coast because this is an incredible deal.
Did you hear what Andrew Dimbert reported? That this strike, had it kept going, was set to cripple the U.S. economy. So They're important.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt they are.
But what you're saying is they don't deserve $69 an hour at the end of 6 years.
I'm just saying that is a staggering amount of money.
I think to some degree
to stack Legos.
You're jealous that they're
super jealous.
better,
100%.
Better negotiators than the 3% you're begging for.
You're right. It is oozing out of me, the jealousy right now.
So, okay, the end of the port strike for all intents and purposes means you can cease and desist your panic buying. Your panic buying of toilet paper, all right? What's wild is this port strike wasn't really going to impact your bathroom supply of TP. You know, that one roll you have under the counter in case of an emergency? I'm going to tell you what you should have been panic buying instead. Next.
You know, my mother and I immediately were like, let's go to BJ's and buy in bulk a little bit, because I have 4 boys. So I have 4 boys, my husband and I, so we have a pretty big family.
Since watching the news the last couple of days or seeing stuff online, I was like, you know what, maybe I should come in the morning and stock up before it gets crazy over here.
Finally Friday with Dave and Dujanovic. When the politicians speak and the headlines become a soupy noise.
Make it great again. Burdened by what has
and lost car keys and forgotten passwords overwhelm. It's time to turn off the screens and take a break. Join KSL for the 194th semi-annual General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Coverage begins Saturday morning at 9:30. Take conference with you at 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and on the app for KSL News Radio.
Steve, my sister-in-law went to NPS in Layton, one of the stores that's got great prices on groceries. And
did they get her?
They did. She was like, I was looking around. I was like, yeah, okay. But then she's like, oh, wow, that's a great price on this. Oh, no, that's a great price on that. And she finally told my brother, all right, go get the cart. Because that's what you do when you come to NPS.
You know, I think that's the hardest thing sometimes is convincing people that the prices are so good and that this is all brand new merchandise.
New in box, original tags on it.
Yeah.
What makes NPS so great, though, is because they'll save you plenty. They price check every item before it's even put on the shelf. They check other competitors' retail pricing before it goes on the shelf, and then mark that down between 30 to 70% off, so you save instantly. And then in each store, they'll have a deal where it's an additional % off on clothing, electronics, bedding, all these things, all the stuff that you need. Go to there first, then hit the grocery store. You'll save your money, and you'll get everything that you need.
You won't believe how much you saved.
1150 North Main Street in Layton, 475 North State in Orem, and 1600 South Empire Road in Salt Lake City.
Utah's biggest used RV Palooza is back and better than ever. This October 10th through the 12th at the Shops at Southtown. You're getting the best deals of the season on used travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and more. Shop gently used RVs at the show and save thousands over fall pricing anywhere else. Find deals starting as low as $9,995, like on a 2021 Forest River Viking LS Series M238 LS tent camper. Plus, shop select new RVs at used pricing, not to mention blowout pricing on all remaining 2024s in stock. You'll also enjoy no payments until 2025 on approved credit. Finish your fall camping season in style without a single monthly payment. And if you've got a trade, we want it. Bring it to the show to get maximum trade-in value. We're even including a 1-year Bish Fix membership with every RV purchase. Your fast track to RV service repairs. And don't miss out on our Hunter Special section to keep your hunting season going strong. All this plus free admission to the Utah Used RV Palooza. 3 days only, October 10th through the 12th at the Shops at Southtown. Open daily at 10 a.m., sponsored by Bish's RV. See you there.
Hey, pet parents. With Progressive's collision coverage, you get extra protection for your cat or dog, because there's nothing worse than seeing your pet hurt. Like when you see their face after accidentally stepping on their tail, and you say, I'm so sorry, Mr. Pickles. But as you kiss his nose and rub his little belly welly, you know Mr. Pickles is thinking, you betrayed me. Anywho, Progressive pays up to $1,000 in vet bills if your pet is injured in an auto accident. Learn more at Progressive.com and watch where you step. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Collision coverage subject to policy terms. Not available in all states.
Is this house a good price compared to others in the area? Are prices going up or down? If I don't make an offer right this very moment, will I miss my chance? These are just some of the questions a home buyer might ask. And these are the sorts of questions an agent who is a Realtor can help answer. Because Realtors have the expertise, data, and access to specialty training to help you navigate the process of buying a home. They provide support, guidance, and have your back every step of the way. That's what Realtors do, because that's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, the jobs report showed over 250,000 jobs were added in September. The unemployment rate dropped to 4.1%. Second, a group of Salt Lake City residents has secured a grant to turn a spot of land under a freeway overpass into a community gathering area. The group cut down weeds to put in things like a dog park or a pickleball court. Third, a play in Ogden hopes to attract larger audiences by having dialogue in English and in Spanish. The Shakespeare adaptation will have 30 to 50% of dialogue in Spanish and the rest in English. Right now, 66 degrees in Salt Lake. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
Yeah, our top story is the end to the 72-hour port strike on the East Coast. And these last 72 hours have reminded me, have showed me that as Americans, we do not understand that there is a proper method to panic buying. And we missed the mark. You're going for TP and paper towels. That's not how this works. That was not what was at risk, folks. I mean, shoppers outside Costco and Walmart in San Antonio saying this.
They're definitely out of toilet paper.
Yeah, well, and it's crazy in there. It's like a Saturday.
Definitely crazy. I heard about 2 other people, at least, just passing by. They were talking about it.
Panic buying has loads of San Antonians piling on the paper towels, water bottles, and toilet paper in light of the port strikes.
They only have the Costco branded paper towels, and the only water they had was the distilled drinking water.
Panic buying is so easy to do because we are so habitual. We love to do the things we do. We have our own addictions. Toilet paper is a necessity. I get that. I would think I would buy Diet Coke. That would be my panic buying 100%. But this port strike, for every day it went on, it was costing the economy nearly $5 billion.
Yeah, they're important.
Crucial.
Yeah, they're important. But it has wrapped up, as we just reported, for all intents and purposes. They're going back to work. They're going to hammer out the deal. The deal will be a $69 an hour wage, not an increase, but a $69 an hour wage in the 6th year of the contract. It basically goes up, about $5 a year? Is that it? It's $39 now an hour. We talked about that just a few minutes ago, but right now we're talking about panic buying and how, to me, these last 72 hours prove that we don't understand how imports work in this country as Americans. There's probably a few people listening right now who do, so I'm not trying to insult you, but the rest of us are just out there all over the country buying up toilet paper, thinking that's our solution to save our family if this port strike dragged on.
My mother and I immediately were like, let's go to BJ's and buy in bulk a little bit, because I have 4 boys. So
now, I don't know what all these people were buying, but people were reporting shortages of toilet paper, paper towel, and in fact, in the CNN article that I was reading, Dave, that there were shortages in large part because of social media. showing empty shelves where toilet paper was supposed to be.
They were lighting the fire. They were spreading the gasoline all over the place.
And so then it created more and more panic. I mean, the downside of social media. And then to a less extent, paper towel. Isn't paper towel the backup plan, literally, to the backside?
Napkin, the back.
But this is going on all over the nation. Here's New Jersey, News Nation in New Jersey.
Needed supplies. I had no choice. And, of course, I'm, like anybody else, anticipating a long-range strike at the ports. So that's why I'm got a trunk full of stuff.
All 72 hours of that long-range strike.
I'm not totally judging people for panicking because the ask was a 70% raise. On no planet did I think they would cave to a 70% raise. So I can see why people would be panicking. I mean, typically, we're dealing with 2 and 3% raises. So a 70% ask over 6 years, Dave, over 6 years.
Yeah, calm down.
Settle down. This is over 6 years. It's only a 15% raise per year. Yeah, I thought that was pie in the sky. There's no way they're going to cave on this. So I do see why people thought or projected that this was going to be a long strike.
And started diving for the massive packs of TP.
Yeah, the
By
97
the way,
pack.
While y'all were at Costco and Walmart, I was at Home Depot yesterday buying little tiny pieces of tile. I didn't touch one of the packages of TP.
You thought there was going to be a run on tile? She's like, I got to gather up all my tile.
I walked by and I'm watching in studio yesterday. You and I are watching News Nation monitors and they're doing the stories on panic buying. And we're seeing people jump over each other. And in fact, I showed you a photo in USA Today where a man a major big box store had packed his cart and the toilet paper was like falling off the side.
It's impressive.
And I walked by this aisle in Home Depot out in Riverton. I'm like, they've got all the toilet paper here. Why are you all over there? Where I want to get with this, though, is what y'all don't realize about imports is that it's not the toilet paper and the paper towel that was at risk. According to CNN, I'm quoting them, but if you just look this stuff up to verify what you're seeing on social media, you would find this on the internet too. Overwhelming majority, more than 90% of the toilet paper consumption comes from domestic factories. That means factories in the United States. Okay, that's what the word domestic means.
They're not shipping them off is what you're saying.
But it gets better. You're saying, well, what about the 10%? Isn't that coming in some big cargo shipment where these people are on strike? No, the rest comes from Canada and Mexico.
So we literally picked the worst thing to hoard. Of all the things that's arriving by ship, none of it is toilet paper. So we're hoarding the worst, the most plentiful thing out there.
Now, if you had checked your sources on this before you looked at Betty's Facebook page, the video of the panic buying that was going on over the toilet paper, the one-ply toilet paper, you would have seen stories that it was bananas. Bananas. That's why when I was at Walmart the other day, I bought 4 bananas. And I brought them home and I told my daughter, eat up. You may not get a banana in a hot minute if this port strike goes 84 hours. Because most of 100% of the supply. We don't grow bananas in Utah. Have you noticed?
I have noticed.
And it is actually America's most popular fruit by volume, whatever that means.
It's the cheapest for sure.
100%. Imports account for nearly 100% of U.S. supply of bananas. So why do we panic buy? Well, we asked the D2 Research Department to start combing the web. And our producer, Alexi, came across a Yahoo Finance report from 2020. Remember 2020? Where a psychologist was giving an insight into why people panic buy.
When people feel like a situation is out of control and they can't understand it and they feel a lot of anxiety, they feel a great urge to do things. So the antidote to anxiety really is control. And what people can control right now is buying things.
And here's the problem. It doesn't really matter that there is not a shortage of toilet paper. As long as people think there's a shortage, then they will panic buy. And then there will actually be a shortage of toilet paper. So that's a tricky thing to deal with, again, with social media. As long as people see it and believe it, then it's true.
And they don't confirm it.
Right. Exactly. Now, I do have a solution.
Oh, good.
I have a solution to panic buying when this kind of thing happens. And I think we need to accept this. Dynamic pricing, or a less nice way to say it, is price gouging. So if there is something that just starts flying off the shelves, then if you allow stores to just jack up the price and say, all right, it is now $25 for a roll of toilet paper, that settles everybody down because nobody's hoarding at $25 a roll.
That's just that just can't be legal, right?
That's the problem. Is it price gouging? There are rules in place that you can't price gouge, but it's a little bit of a gray area because who of us during the pandemic didn't arrive and they say you can only take one carton of eggs or limited this, limited that. But quite frankly, I think the best way to do it is just go ahead, gouge it. You want it? Then you're going to pay a premium for it, and I guarantee you that'll get it under control. Dynamic pricing is the key.
It would never fly.
It could totally fly. We're already experiencing a lot of these dynamic price changes, and it makes a ton of sense to me because if there's short supply, then you're going to have to pay a premium.
Dave doubling down on his 2-ply toilet paper. Yeah.
Pay for all of it.
Straight ahead,
buy a bidet.
It's the other top segment of our show. If we had a tie ball game here, this would have been the top segment of the show. But it's the 9:35 segment. Straight ahead, stuck in your car at a train crossing. Who hasn't been? Not sure how long you're going to be waiting on that train to pass. Well, there's a new notification system that Dave's going to tell us all about. That's about to eliminate this major nightmare for drivers. Next.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour: more than 250,000 new jobs were added last month across the nation. Zions Bank chief economist Robert Spendlove says there was also positive news in the drop to 4.1% unemployment.
With the unemployment rate, seeing that rate drop for the second month in a row just shows the strength of the U.S. labor market.
Spendlove says wages grew by 4%. There were gains in food services, health care, and government, and a slight downturn in manufacturing numbers. You might have another chance to see the northern lights this year. The National Weather Service Space Weather Prediction Center says a strong geomagnetic storm watch will be in effect through Sunday. The northern lights could be seen in Utah with a camera, but are more likely to be seen by the naked eye across northern Idaho and Wyoming. Our top national story this hour: Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are trying to get the upper hand with working-class voters in the closing weeks of the presidential campaign. Harris is visiting the union stronghold of Flint, Michigan on Friday. Harris has been unable to secure endorsements from some unions that backed Joe Biden 4 years ago. Trump is eager to make inroads with unions in the election. He's heading to Georgia, where he'll appear with Governor Brian Kemp, and then North Carolina on Friday. Your money at this moment: the Dow is down just 15 points right now, just a fraction. We're at 41,996. Coming up, warm temperatures today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
One of the things I love about Mountain Home Services is they've joined forces with Master Electrical Service, so you've got some incredible one-stop shopping for your home needs.
This is awesome because, Master Electrical has done electrical for so long, since the 1950s, which means they can fix those outlets in your house, put in that EV charger. Well, now that they've combined forces with Mountain Home Services, they can also help you with your HVAC, heating and air, plumbing.
And now, fireplaces. I had my furnace installed by Mountain Home Services, and now my mom just had her fireplace serviced and tuned up, and she's had this fireplace for 20, 25 years. And she said they came in, they cleaned it up, and she said it's like brand new. The flame is just booming right now. So she was so happy with Mountain Home Services.
And this comes with the upfront pricing guarantee that Dave and I have told you so much about, which means the price they quote you up front is the price you pay when the job is done.
No hidden fees, 100% satisfaction guarantee. Visit them at mountainhomeutah.com. That's mountainhomeutah.com.
Or call them 543-2222. Again, 543-2222.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly. Oh, I guess we're going to miss out on Heather. Okay, let's get a look then at the weather forecast. Today will be another warm, sunny days. Temperatures could reach 90 degrees, and if they do, that'd be a record for October. Right now, it's sunny and 70 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Well, if you live on the west side and you get stuck a lot at a railroad crossing out there, well, this coming Monday, you're going to love it. Because who hasn't been in a hurry racing to drop off your kids, pick them up? Maybe there's a cop trying to get across town with lights and sirens on, and then he hits a train crossing and the arms are down. Well, there's this new technology that's coming online.
You hear a little of that coming?
Well, and I can... Who hasn't? We all have stories, right? We just have no idea how long that train is going to be on the track. What about the ones that park there?
That's the worst. That is like, you have absolutely no idea how long you're going to be there.
And you sit there and you maybe can't flip a U-turn, but you don't know if you should. We're going to talk about this new technology that is set to go online this coming Monday and where it's going to happen. And Dave's been looking into what it's going to do to make life easier.
Yeah, this is a very, very good idea. It's a little bit of a pilot program. And if it works effectively, then they'll start deploying it elsewhere. But I have seen, as recently as the last couple of weeks, the arms come down, the train is on its way. And sometimes it's the front runner train, which is like a 30-second delay. Sometimes it's a big cargo train and the delay is much longer. But I have seen people drive around the gates across the tracks because they can't wait that long. And then front runner goes by and I said to myself, that's a 30-second delay and you just put your life on the line. It was crazy. We've seen so many dangerous maneuvers. That's why I think this new technology is going to be very, very good and safe.
So let's start with KSL Television's Brianna Chavez, who looked into this for KSL5 TV. This is where we caught this story. And then we're going to talk about how this technology will work. I'm going to ask the question, like, why wasn't this a thing years ago? And why isn't this all over the place?
Getting stuck at a railroad crossing is never ideal.
You never know if the train's going to block you for 30 seconds or an hour.
It's something commuters in West Salt Lake deal with daily.
With the switch yards just to the west, the trains often will stop here to be able to unload and load on cars. It'll block, 3, 4, 5, 6 crossings at a time.
Here on 900 West and South Temple,
they're kind of trapped there.
Drivers can soon expect to get a bit of a heads up to hopefully alleviate the stress. Thanks to these signs being installed by city crews.
It will let people know ahead of time while it's not too late, and they can still reroute.
The man that Brianna was talking to is Alejandro Puy, who is a councilman for District 2 in the Salt Lake City Council, and they allocated money for this specifically. So as he was describing it, of how many people have been delayed and been bitten by those train delays, they wanted to do something about it.
So what I'm reading in her article here on KSLTV.com is it'll use sensors to track when a train is coming, and then there's going to be electronic signs posted. And this is at 9th West and South Temple. The north and electronic signs posted north and south of the railroad crossing at 9th West and South Temple will alert drivers when a train is coming and how long they can expect to be delayed. And she reports that it should be up and running by this coming Monday, October 7th. What a lifesaver and a time saver. And the reason I'm saying it's a lifesaver is because of what you just talked about. People not knowing how long they're going to have to sit there and wait, get impatient, and they do something they should not do, but they do it. They dodge around the arms with their car and try to beat the train before it crosses because, we've all been stuck there. But also a time saver. If you're heading to work, you're heading to pick up the kids, you're stuck there, you don't know how long you're going to be there. And this will divert you because you'll know, okay, it's a 1 minute, train or 4 minute train, or it's a 1 hour train and I need to go in a different direction.
And how many times have we done this? And the frustration, I think, is we just don't know how long we're going to be stuck behind that train because, as you heard, it might be 30 seconds, it might be 30 minutes. And I don't want to just sit there. Let me know. And then I can make a decision at that point. I'm a little bit surprised that trains run on a schedule. They're famous for this. They run on a schedule. Everybody knows it except us. So having a little bit of a monitor, perhaps it's even an app that could tell us, hey, this is a 3-mile long train. It stopped. It's going to be here for a while. You probably want to reroute.
What took us so long to get this?
It doesn't, I don't know. Especially.
Couldn't have this been done in the 90s?
It could have been done in the 90s. And even with an app right now, that should be prioritized. Because we actually have that with FrontRunner. UTA has an app, and it will show you, roughly where the trains are, and you can see whether or not you're on time.
So we could do that for Union Pacific too.
You could totally do that.
And why
haven't we?
This is a pilot program. Can we just make this program take off? Like, can we put the co-pilot in the seat too and just take this thing all over the state? This, I feel for the folks that live in that area, and I've been stuck at those train tracks at 9th West and South Temple and other areas. And I used to when I worked out at the FBI, we moved the building out to the west side. We used to have a very limited time for lunch. I don't remember what it was. It felt like it was 2 minutes, but there weren't a lot of places to eat out there, so we'd all head down 5600 West. And if you got stuck at the train crossing on your lunch break, you were lucky if you got lunch. You're just like, all right, let's just go back to the building and see if we can scrounge something out of the fridge, I guess. But we got stuck there a lot I would, sometimes I'd be on my own, but a lot of times I'd be with coworkers. It was just really unpredictable as to how long we'd been sitting there. And sometimes turning around at the last minute at the train tracks, I think is just as dangerous. So if you can notify sooner, like I love the idea of an app, you just don't even go that direction.
And there's obviously just the inconvenience factor of this. So, parents, if you're trying to pick up your kids and now you're delayed by 20, 30 minutes, you could be late for a doctor's appointment. You could be in labor, right? But that's where
labor.
That's where it changes, right? If you've got first responders or true emergencies, this is where I think this system could be hugely beneficial, because if you're coming in, if you're an ambulance driver and you see 30-minute delay, then all of a sudden you just reroute. You can make that decision. There's a big difference between inconvenience and then true safety issues. And this is what Alejandro Puy was talking about. He said this is going to help our first responders who have voiced this concern to the city council, which is why they invested in this program.
Straight ahead, I'm really excited to have our good friend Carol Makita of KSL 5 Television calling the show. She's going to join us next to talk about her in-depth coverage, her special report airing this weekend, A Century of Service, which will take a special look at the dedicated service, leadership, and faith of President Russell M. Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Carol's dialing the show next.
It's Friday. With Dave and Dujanovic.
One of the things I love about Salt Lake City Fat Loss and the program is it works. So many of us have tried to lose weight in the past, and it's just been too stubborn. We've tried to do it on our own. It's too easy to cheat. But when you pay for a program, I think it adds a level of accountability, because there's no way you're going to pay for the program and then all of a sudden start cheating left and right and just throwing your money away. That's what I loved about Salt Lake City Fat Loss, is it helped me stay accountable, and then the results were phenomenal. I loved it. Many people will lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month or two. I lost 57 pounds in just 60 days. I felt great, and it changed the way I look at food, and that was a big part of it for me. I didn't realize the bad habits that I had gotten into and fallen into. The convenience of eating out was terrible for me. So I was so grateful for Salt Lake City Fat Loss. If you're interested, go ahead and go to their website, slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
You need to meet my aunt. Her name is Rochelle Morris, and she's running for Salt Lake County Council. She's super smart, and she really cares about people. She wants Salt Lake County to be a great place for kids. That means safe parks, safe streets, good rec centers, and making sure taxes go down instead of up. Go to voterochellemorris.com to learn more.
Thanks, Zoe and Tilly. I'm Rochelle Morris, and I'm running to make Salt Lake County work better for all of us. With my background in managing money in the private sector, I'm committed to cutting waste, holding the county accountable, and maximizing and protecting your tax dollars for you. Together, we can ensure Salt Lake County is a great place to live for many years to come. I'm Rochelle Morris, and I approve this message. Learn more at voterochellemorris.com.
That's voterochellemorris.com.
Paid for by Rochelle Morris for Salt Lake County Council.
Head to Logan for funky fall fun. Jump on your brooms and join us for a fantastic fall break. Here's what's brewing. The North Logan Pumpkin Walk, October 10th through the 15th. Okay, there's no way to describe this amazing and colorful experience, but I will try. There are hundreds of carved pumpkins, plus dozens of displays crafted from painted pumpkins, gourds, and other random vegetables. You have to see it for yourself, and it's free. Celebrate Utah's Harvest Heritage October 18th and 19th at the American West Heritage Center's Fall Harvest Festival. Grain threshing, apple pressing, pony rides, train rides, antique tractors, games, and fun. Get your scream on all month long for spooky encounters on the historic downtown Logan Ghost Tour, or traipsing through a couple of giant corn mazes that may or may not be haunted. Check out live theater and music performances, great restaurants, golf, and USU football games. Head to Logan for funky fall fun. Explore logan.com/fall.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Exciting news! Master Electrical Services has joined Mountain Home Services.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, ballots will be sent out to Utah voters in less than 2 weeks. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson is urging Utahns to track their ballot online and to trust the election process. Second, a Utah Tech University staff member who is also a candidate for university president has been placed on leave until January. The university has not confirmed why the staff member is on leave. And third, the Utah Hockey Club has announced Clayton Keller will be the first captain in the team's history. Last year in Arizona, Keller led the team in goals, assists, and points. Right now, sunny and 70 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
This weekend is the 194th semi-annual General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It'll be bustling in downtown Salt Lake City. And I'm really excited. In just a moment, we're going to speak live with KSL5 Television's longtime religion reporter, Carol Makita, a good friend of ours, about her really special.
A Century of Service. President Russell M. Nelson. Carol, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to this, and this is quite the accomplishment. 100 years, a full century, cool. The oldest prophet in the history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It is a remarkable milestone for a remarkable man whose energy continues to this day. He is in the office every day. He is making decisions every day about a worldwide faith. And that's really what is something to talk about. There are things, however, from him that I think all of us can learn something about, from his colleagues, from his family, from people in the community that I've spoken with. This is a man who is a great listener. When you speak to him, whether it's in the councils of the church or whether you are a friend of his or a family member, his focus is entirely on what it is you have to say, and he absorbs that before he responds. I think we can all become better listeners. The other thing is, he has used social media to send messages throughout his presidency. And I think we need to remember that that's not just a one-time suggestion that he makes. A couple of years ago, it was during the pandemic to give thanks, to remember to be grateful for what it is you have that is a good thing. And the other thing is, recently, during the 100 days before his 100th birthday, he said, "No gifts. I want you to reach out to the one." In other words, someone who needs help in some way. And I think he would say that should continue. And there's certainly, as we look around, people who need our help. So whether it is the Dr. Craig Selzman of the University of Utah, who's the head of the cardiothoracic surgery there, who is a friend of Dr. Nelson's, or his children or grandchildren, or his closest associates at church. It's been a wonderful learning experience for me about President Nelson.
Carol, by the way, we're speaking with the voice you recognize, of course, KSL5 Television's Carol Makita, and she has a beautiful special coming up this weekend that'll air after the first session ends on Sunday of General Conference. So your special airs at noon on Sunday on KSL5 Television. Yeah. Carol, I saw you in the hall, it was a few weeks ago, and you were... we cross paths so often, but not as much as we used to. And I always enjoy your spirit and your excitement and the joy you bring to your specials. And you lit up when you were starting to sort of fill me in on your documentary that you were working on for President Russell M. Nelson's story. You shared a lot of things with me. I'm not sure if they all made it into the special, but what was your takeaway that you hope listeners or viewers take away from your special on Sunday?
Thank you, Deb. It's always enjoyable to bump into one another and share things. This is a man who has confidence in the Lord and in himself and in the future. And I think whatever faith you profess, that's a great part of it. That you have the confidence in what it is you believe. We live in troubled times, there's no doubt about it, but faith, not fear, the underlying factor here. And I'm grateful to have learned that from him and from people who speak of him.
Carol, what is so fascinating, I think, about President Nelson is his life and his history. Whether it was as a surgeon, his work in China, learning Mandarin Chinese, there's so many levels that is fascinating about President Nelson. But the recent accomplishments, I think, are particularly interesting, especially maybe you'd think, right off into the sunset, but when you're showing up to work every single day, what are some of those recent accomplishments?
Well, someone in the media said when he became church president and prophet, he would be a caretaker. Nothing could be farther from the truth. In the nearly 7 years that he has held that position, more than 100 announcements or decisions being made. And of the 350 temples that are either operating or under construction or announced, he announced 168 of them. So his vision is he's pressing forward to help the saints have access to the temple where he would say blessings and covenants are available to them, and then reaching out constantly with humanitarian work and sending church leaders throughout the world to associate themselves with organizations that are also helping the people in those nations. So the vision is far-reaching and constant.
Carol, when you spoke to him, correct?
I have not recently spoken to him. It has been a couple of years, but those around him.
So those around him are talking to you about how much he still gives at 100 years old and continues to give.
Well, and when I spoke to members of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, each one said, well, I was just in a meeting with him about, for example, Elder Neil L. Anderson, who oversees the Temple Department, and what is going on there. Though there are so many decisions to be made about that. Elder Ulysses Suarez, also the same thing in his realm of responsibility. And Elder Suarez said, he has such a way about him that, and here's an apostle saying, I hope to be like that someday. So the overriding underlying line, I think that comes from everyone, whether it's someone of his faith who he associates with closely every day, or someone who's a friend in the community. I hope to be like that.
Carol,
someday.
we look forward. We so look forward to this special. It will air at 12 p.m. on Sunday. It's a century of service. President Russell M. Nelson.
Yeah, sending you lots of love, Carol. Hope to see you in the newsroom again. I know you've been working so hard on this special that, as Dave said, airs noon on Sunday. I'll be watching it on KSL 5 television. You can, of course, watch the semi-annual, 194th semi-annual General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on KSL 5 TV. If you're in the car, you can listen to it on KSL News Radio, 102.7, of course, the dial you're listening to now. Another easy way to take us with you is through our KSL apps as well, and those are free.
A couple fun factoids I saw on LDS Living, 100 facts about President Nelson for his 100th birthday. Would hide liver in his pockets because he hated it, and he would throw it away on his way to school.
Oh!
$15 a month as a medical intern, that's what he was paid. And this one I had forgotten. He was in Mozambique. A gun was pointed at his head.
Oh.
It misfired, and everyone's life was spared.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Red flag warnings in place for the Wasatch and Uinta Mountains today, along with west central and southwestern Utah. Meteorologist for the Great Basin Fire Coordination Center, Basil Numerjetsky, says it's up to all of us to stay vigilant. His agency also plays its part.
During very critical events like a big dry wind event like this is going to be, or a lightning event, they sometimes make the decision to pre-position certain resources in certain geographic areas.
A red flag warning means conditions are ripe for wildfire to ignite and spread. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Dock workers are back on the job after their union agreed to a big pay raise. They agreed to put off talks on limiting automation until next year. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says President Biden was personally involved in the effort to end the strike, convening a call with port managers at 5:30 in the morning to broker an agreement. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day now, 138 points. The NASDAQ is up 135. And our KSL weather. We do have those south winds and warm temperatures today. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:01. It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm author Richard Paul Evans. There's a new book out that I couldn't put down. It's called Alan Osmond, One-Way Ticket. Millions of people think they know the Osmonds, but few know their real story. From humble farm to global mania. And through it all, they've kept their faith and family intact. This book will inspire you and strengthen your faith. You'll love this book with hundreds of never-before-published photos and free music downloads. Alan Osmond, One-Way Ticket, available online and where better books are sold.
There are many out-of-control factors that can cripple supply chains and break down the ability to get vital supplies for weeks, maybe even longer. Inflation and political instability means the cost of food could skyrocket. Now is the time to do something about it. The first step is to protect your family and stock up on what you need. ReadyWise meals taste incredible, are simple to make, easy to store, and offer up to a 25-year shelf life. ReadyWise is a leader in emergency food supplies. During General Conference Weekend, enjoy savings site-wide on emergency food and supplies. Visit ReadyWise.com/KSL to explore the versatile emergency meal selection and start building your emergency food supply. That's ReadyWise.com/KSL. Use code KSL25 at checkout to take 25% off your purchase. That's ReadyWise.com/KSL and use code KSL25.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandswimspasale.com.
Nearly 70% of Utah's land is controlled by the federal government, severely limiting Utah's ability to actively manage and protect our natural resources. Our families, businesses, and communities know there's a better way. Utahns have been good stewards of our public lands for generations. That's why we're asking each and every Utahn to get informed, speak up, and learn more at standforourland.utah.gov.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
We do have lane restrictions on Legacy Parkway. This is northbound as you leave Centerville, head into Farmington. You're down to one lane in that area. That's very typical. And then if you're on Bangerter Highway, you're also going to see a little bit of delay northbound to 9800 south and again approaching the 201 freeway. Again, that's all very normal. Joseph Smith was martyred. Nauvoo was in chaos until God called young Brigham Young. Hundreds of witnessed God's manifesting his will. See 6 Days in August. Sneak peek October 7th. Tickets at Cinemark.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll see winds from the southwest, increasing temperatures as well as wildfire danger today. Today's high could set a record at 90 degrees. Highs drop then into the 80s through the weekend. And right now, 70 degrees and sunny. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Okay, we think, at least right now, that President Biden's student loan forgiveness program has gotten itself unstuck from the court system, at least temporarily, and is moving forward, which could mean for Utahns, we don't know how many, we don't know who, $20,000 in student loan forgiveness may be on its way to your student loan.
Part of the problem with this is, okay, it's a go for what, 5 minutes? Until a new judge puts a stay on it. It has been such a disaster for the past 4 years of what is going on with student loans. And what it has done is it has paralyzed people that have student loans from continuing to make payments because they're thinking, well, why would I make payments if they're going to get forgiven? So what happens? They sit on these loans. It's been zero interest for the majority of that time, and they don't pay on it. Well, now we're 4 years down the road, and everyone's no closer to paying off their student loans, unless you were one of the lucky few that actually got a portion of it forgiven.
So our understanding is this impacts President Biden's Plan B. There's been so many plans, it's hard to keep track of all of these. And this was, by the way, a campaign promise that he has just struggled to deliver on for everybody. Not for all, but for everybody. For some, they have seen student loan forgiveness.
Yes.
But not everybody has, and I think it's become really complicated. Well, this one we're talking about, the one that just got unpaused, there was a 7 Republican-led states had challenged it in federal court, but then yesterday, a federal judge decided not to extend what was a pause on it. Instead, he dismissed the lawsuit, or at least dismissed Georgia from the lawsuit because it lacked standing. So that is a really wonky way of saying that the unpause phase has happened. But our very own Caitlin Johnston has been caught up in this. She's the producer of our show, and we were talking to her about it this morning, Dave.
So, Caitlin, where are you at right now? Because you've experienced this entire roller coaster of, hey, maybe it will be forgiven, and it will be forgiven. It has been forgiven. Oh, wait, no, it hasn't. And now there's a new plan in place. Where are you at right now? What do you understand is the situation with your student loans?
Well, I've been confused, probably like everyone else, on what the plan is. Do you qualify? What am I doing with this? Right now, with my current student loan situation, it's in forbearance for a different reason, because the SAVE plan was put on a stay for a totally different reason, just because I enrolled in the SAVE plan. So I haven't been paying since, I think, August. And I don't know when that ends. I think my thing said 30 days. That's completely different. So that's another confusing factor, but it's just because I made that enrollment. So, but otherwise, this is kind of like okay, if I qualify for this, the one detail that I could qualify for is if I have accrued interest. That will be wiped away. That's
accrued it over time.
Yes, so that's one detail.
Up to $20,000 in interest that will be forgiven.
Yeah, that's the layer that I think I could maybe qualify for. The other one is that if you could be enrolled in an IDR plan, which is like the SAVE plan, and you're qualified for that, you could also be forgiven something.
IDR is income-driven repayment, so it looks at what you're making at your job. They factor in. They have a little.
Yeah. The reason I say that is because I've been currently trying to understand what does this even matter to me?
Yeah.
And so maybe it's a maybe for me on that, but it's still just like, should I have just been paying this whole time? Because who knows if this is just going to get blocked again? It is confusing.
Now, when we're talking about wiping away interest, folks, before you start, celebrating and like, that's great, interest-free loan, this is if the current balance of the loan is higher than what you took out because of interest.
Yes.
So if you had taken out money and you hadn't been paying on it and interest had grown to a balance higher than the actual loan itself, then that interest could be wiped away up to $20,000.
So where are you at right now?
With like my balance?
Mm-hmm.
I'm about 13 something, which I think I've said that every single time I've come on here because I haven't been making heavy payments. Which is kind of a pro and con, but honestly, it has helped me focus on other debt that I have. So I'm not mad about it.
So, okay. So you owe $13,000. You've owed that for a while. This program and the discussions about it have been milling around in the news cycle for 4 years, and you haven't been making payments. I mean, they initially were paused by President Trump, if I recall, right?
Yeah, during COVID.
During COVID, because people were struggling. Some of them didn't have jobs or couldn't get a job. But then what happened is when President Biden took office, he decided by executive order to start wiping away student loan debt, and that's where the courts got involved because there were lawsuits filed.
Yeah, originally the plan was to wipe away $10,000 to $20,000 of student loan debt for everybody, $10,000 to $20,000. And then the Supreme Court came in and said, you can't do that. That would have to go through Congress, that level of forgiveness. So what he's done is he's now moved over into the more administrative rules of forgiveness. And that's where the billions of dollars that he's been able to forgive has come from, is just tweaks in rules and repayments.
So since you just probably represent a lot of our listeners, they don't know if they're going to get any amount of money forgiven now that this the court has unpaused this this forgiveness plan, this new forgiveness plan, Plan B. Where do you get the information from to know if you're one of the lucky ones?
I think you get a email notification or something like that if that happens. All the information is on the Federal Student Aid website, which is what I was just reading for the last hour trying to figure that all out.
So there's
but you should be notified if you qualify.
Okay, but there's a Federal Student Aid website that people can go to like you've been going to today to try to figure this out.
Yeah, and you can go into your own account where you make payments where it kind of tells you the status, which is where I learned I was in forbearance. So like right now I'm still not paying, but I have been paying. And it is important to note that President Biden made a grace period after he kind of relaunched the payments. That ended on Monday, and basically you didn't get penalized if you weren't paying. Like there was no negative effects. That ended Monday, so if you weren't paying or making late payments, you need to start doing that now.
You need to check your
So that's
account.
important to note because I forgot about that, but I had been paying until this forbearance thing happened, so that's different. But yeah, it's complicated, and that's why this is a conversation, because everyone's probably very confused just like me, and I just spent about an hour trying to figure it out.
Which I have felt from the beginning is very unfortunate. Just to not have any kind of direction and to have hope, and maybe you find out it's false hope. I feel like you, particularly because we know you so well and we work with you, I feel badly that you've been going through this because you're like, well, do I make the payments? Because, boy, it would really be nice not to make payments and be qualified for some level of forgiveness. But you have been with us for
the whole
like
journey
4
since this
years,
happened.
and we are still asking you these same questions.
Yeah.
Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us with the latest.
And Caitlin, no judgment, you're not alone. And I would do the exact same thing you did. If there was a chance of having my student loans forgiven, I would not pay, because the nightmare scenario for me is if I went out there and I was paying several $100s a month. I pay back tens of thousands of dollars over the past 2 years, and then they somehow step in and say, all right, we're just forgiving all of that. So it's this perverse incentive to not pay on your student loans, which is at the heart of why this is such a terrible, awful plan, is because people don't know what to do and whether or not they should be paying back their debts.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. And always thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Not everybody wants to
I don't mind
share.
talking about it.
we really do appreciate that, Caitlin. And Caitlin has been feverishly working behind the scenes to line up our next conversation, our next interview live, because we just got this press release. And there's a new program that is going to be taking effect. It's supposed to simplify a way for all students throughout Utah, all high school students, to automatically be guaranteed college admission. I think this really streamlines the process. We're going to dive into the details with a live interview about this new program that we just got word of moments ago. Next.
It's Friday. With Dave and Dujanovic. There's a good reason you rely on KSL on your phone during the day and when you go online to check the big stories at work. There's also a special place for KSL News Radio. We're your hands-free resource in the car, whether it's mornings, running errands, or heading home. Rely on KSL News Radio in the car at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I've got to tell you about my experience at Hale Center Theater, one of the opening nights for The Magician's Elephant. Now, I knew it was going to be a U.S. premiere. I knew this was going to be something brand new, but I wasn't quite prepared for just how charming this play indeed is. It's all about a young orphan boy who promised his dying mother that he would keep an eye on and watch out for his little sister, but where is she? Only the magician's elephant knows. You're going to love The Magician's Elephant. And I'll tell you, I'm used to spectacular things unfolding on the stage, but there is the exit of a major character that is simply magical, almost molecular. One of the most amazing things I've ever seen on a Hale Center Theater stage, and boy, that is saying something. Don't forget, we also have The Addams Family, still to come, Beauty and the Beast. Get your tickets now for A Christmas Carol. Go to hct.org.
It's the Movie Show, guys. Andy Farnsworth and Steve Sales, the Movie Show, broadcasting live today from Sound Sleep. We're joined now by Melissa Lowry from Sound Sleep. Melissa, we want to talk today about how to correct sleep apnea without having to use an intrusive CPAP machine.
Right, and there is a way. A lot of people think that CPAP is the only way, which is not true. So they delay or postpone testing. They don't want treatment. With an oral appliance, you don't have to worry about any of the inconvenience. There's no mask, no hose, no electricity, no distilled water. It's just like a custom-made mouth guard that you wear on your teeth at night. Really easy and convenient way to fix a very serious problem.
And why is sleep apnea considered so serious?
It is linked to very awful, frankly, health issues down the road. Maybe you think, well, I'm not suffering from any of these things now. That's great. But down the road, as you age, you could be running into things like anxiety, depression, memory loss, high blood pressure, high blood glucose levels, and even more serious stuff like dementia. And so find out if you have it, fix it now. You'll feel better today, but also live longer and be healthier in the future.
So how can they do this for free?
Great question. Call right now during the show. The number is 801-716-8672. You can also find us at soundsleepmedical.com. When you reach out, we're automatically going to give you a free sleep screening, which is a test we'll talk about more later in the show, a free consultation where you sit down, get your results with one of our sleep specialists, and when you come to that appointment, also free, and all of this no obligation, we're going to send you home with 2 movie tickets.
See, now that's the kind of movie show deal that we love to hear. You actually get movies along with correcting a much more serious problem, I think, than maybe a lot of people realize. And you'll be really happy if you have sleep apnea to get it corrected. You won't realize what you've been missing out on in your night's sleep, even if you've been getting, quote, a good night's sleep all the time. 801-716-8672. Make that appointment with Sound Sleep.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM. or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the 2nd largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, south winds and temperatures in the 90s are raising fire danger across Utah today. Second, the dock workers' strike is over for now. President Biden got involved in reaching a deal. And third, a ticket for general conference sessions or other downtown events this weekend will be good for a ride on UTA. 70 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We just got this press release from the folks at Higher Ed. And let me just give you the Cliff Notes version of this, Dave, because it certainly excited me for parents and for Utah high school students. Guaranteed college admission. Every Utah high school student under a new program that's launching called Admit Utah.
This sounds super amazing. and something that probably a lot of parents don't realize, on some level, this has already been there. Like Utah Valley University, SLIC, Utah State University, they have open admissions. They don't require a minimum GPA or an ACT or SAT score. So this is something that has already been available here in Utah, but that doesn't diminish in any way this plan, because what I think this plan does, Debbie, is it streamlines it and simplifies it.
Sydney Tetro is the Utah Board of Higher Education. Thanks for jumping on the line with us. We just got this news release a few minutes ago, and I thought, let's talk about this. But I'm reading here that it says that every student will receive notification of their guaranteed admission to one or more of 16 public colleges and universities in Utah. So is that the part that is new to Admit Utah?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. And Dave, what you just pointed out is exactly one of the things that is true, which is students have been able to go to those universities, but they don't know. This is all about how do you give access to all of these students. And like you just mentioned, this is now the simplified way for our students to know that they have guaranteed college admissions, that they have the ability to go on and learn additional skills. It addresses undecided students. And then you're right, there is a great amount of work that's going into this to make sure it's a seamless integration as you come through high school and graduation into college, and that you know that you've got a place that you belong and you're just admitted into our college system.
And I think when we're talking to our kids and telling them, hey, you got to get good grades, get good ACT scores so you can get into a good college, and then here's the application process, it can be incredibly overwhelming. And I think for them to realize, listen, there's backup plans to your backup plans already in place. So go ahead, shoot for Harvard if you want to, but there are some great resources here in state that are available to you at any moment.
That's right. They're really accessible to you. I think that a lot of times what we find from the students, our high school students, is many of them, especially our undecided students, don't realize that it's so accessible for them, and that we can also help them with the affordability. And what all of the data tells us is that if you can go on from high school and do any part of college or trade certificates or additional learning, it will help you for the rest of your life. And so we want our entire population, just because of their contributions for their future, to know that this is accessible for them and it can be available to them immediately.
Sydney Tetro is with the Utah Board of Higher Education. She's a board member. She worked on the task force that created what's called Admit Utah. They're calling it a simplified path to college admissions for all Utah high school students. So, Sydney, walk us through so parents understand when they're talking to their high schoolers about this, what this is going to look like. Will these high schoolers get a notification to their, their high school website, whatever ones they log on to, and then will you pick and choose what colleges they automatically qualify for, as opposed to them going and seeking out the college and filling out the application?
Okay, I love this question. So this is a really integrated effort, from everything happening at our local high schools, superintendents, all of the way up to the Department of Education. So there's a lot of information going out with counselors and high schools. It's actually College Month this month in all of our high schools, so this aligns really, really nicely. If you go to admitutah.org right now, any high school student can go through this process. And there's right now a really short questionnaire that asks some questions, GPA, things you're interested in, and it's designed to be super simple. Are you interested in 4 years? Are you interested in certificates? Are you interested in 2 years? Do you have a location preference? And it immediately right now will give them the results of that, which they can play with. It gives them all of those colleges that they're admitted to. They can click on the button and go right into providing the information to be in. So they don't have to search anymore to all of those places you just said. If you go to one place and you get information, and what you're going to see over the next years, this will continue to expand into things like how do we increase FAFSA, which is really about affordability for all of our students. How do we create even more seamless integration? Because if you create simple processes, it can transform the lives and their opportunity. And this is an amazing first step. So anyone can go there. It's live today. It's working right now. And
It's
in perfect
cool. I'm
timing.
on it. And the first step is it asks, what's your GPA? And it gives you a sliding scale. Of course, I said mine is 4.0. And it says, where are you graduating from high school? That's easy, right? Your name, email below. I mean, this is slick.
That was our number one user experience intent is we have high school students, and like you just said, parents think it's complicated. Students think it's complicated.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We want them in and using this because we know the power of education.
Does this, if you graduate, maybe you weren't a college goer, you weren't planning on going to college, and you're maybe graduated for a couple of years, and you're thinking, okay, maybe I do want to go. Is this available to anyone that has already graduated, or is this just for K through 12?
Obviously, our target user right now is K through 12, but the exact same process is true. If you've been out of high school for a couple of years and you want to come back, like come into the system because it is accessible to you. That's the amazing part of our college ecosystem here in the state is that at any point in time, you can come and you are allowed and you have access and entry into our system.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. Sydney Tetro is with the Utah Board of Higher Education, member there. And, yeah, Debbie and I are both on the website right now.
It's fun.
We're clicking around on it. And I think it is. It's a streamlined.
Fun website. Yeah.
It's so streamlined, and I think it takes away some of the anxiety, and the kids just don't know what to do next. And any way to simplify it and say, hey, listen, you have already been accepted. You can go here, here, and there. You can go for certificates. You can go to 2 years. You can get your generals done. This is the hand-holding that they are crying for and desperate for, and all you have to do is go to admitutah.org.
Yeah, great stuff. Fun. I love it. I think anytime we can make things easier for our kids and parents, I mean, that's awesome. I remember helping my kids apply for college. I remember applying for college. You had to wait. When I was applying for Arizona State and University of Arizona back in the day, it was like waiting by the mailbox every day to see if I could get admitted, see if I qualified. This streamlines it. Thank goodness. We need to do more of this. Great stuff. Thank you so much, Sydney, for joining us. Straight ahead, I'm super excited to talk about a special report that my producer, Caitlin Johnston, and I worked on for conference weekend. It airs tomorrow at 1:30 p.m., and we're going to give you a sneak peek about it. It all goes back to our brand new podcast, Dating at Her Age. Straight ahead, why we do and how we do DIY background checks for safer dating. Next.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. A man from Salt Lake has been arrested after he returned to an apartment from which he had just been evicted. There, police say he stabbed a constable with a sword. Jonathan Stephen Clark being investigated on 2 counts of assault on an officer as well as trespassing and escape. A swath of land under a Salt Lake City freeway overpass getting an update. Landon Krasik helped organize a group to champion a Love Your Block grant for this 18,000 square foot spot.
Started with people in the community seeing a space that was unused and underutilized, and really like a groundswell of just trying to get something incredible there.
The group is talking about putting in pickleball courts, a dog park, or something else in that space at 2nd West and Meade Avenue. The group hosted a cleanup today, which included getting UDOT to take down a fence around the site and cutting down all the weeds. A top national story this hour from ABC News. The FBI looking for the perpetrators of a sophisticated cryptocurrency scam. ICH Coin billed itself as a cryptocurrency platform. The FBI says it played on consumers' unfamiliarity with virtual currency and says ICH Coin defrauded Americans of $30 million over the past 11 months. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day right now, 87 points. The NASDAQ is up 109. And our KSL weather looks like sunshine today, but with some south winds and warm temperatures. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Utah's biggest used RV Palooza is back and better than ever. This October 10th through the 12th at the shops at Southtown. You're getting the best deals of the season on used travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and more. Shop gently used RVs at the show and save thousands over fall pricing anywhere else. Find deals starting as low as $9,995, like on a 2021 Forest River Viking LS Series M238 LS tent camper. Plus, shop select new RVs at used pricing, not to mention blowout pricing on all remaining 2024s in stock. You'll also enjoy no payments until 2025 on approved credit. Finish your fall camping season in style without a single monthly payment. And if you've got a trade, we want it. Bring it to the show to get maximum trade-in value. We're even including a 1-year Fish Fix membership with every RV purchase. Your fast track to RV service repairs. And don't miss out on our Hunter Special section to keep your hunting season going strong. All this plus free admission to the Utah Used RV Palooza. 3 days only, October 10th through the 12th at the shops at Southtown. Open daily at 10 a.m. Sponsored by Bish's RV. See you there.
It's the Movie Show guys, Andy Farnsworth and Steve Sales. Our show today coming from Sound Sleep. They have 6 locations in Utah. We're at their Sandy location near 90th South and 700 East, but they've also got locations in Clearfield, Murray, American Fork, Provo, and St. George. We're joined now by Melissa Lowry from Sound Sleep. Melissa, tell us, what is sleep apnea for people who maybe it's more than just snoring, I guess, is the best way to say it.
Correct. Snoring is a huge red flag that you might have a problem, but other ones also are you just tired a lot during the day? Do you wake up sometimes with a morning headache? Could mean you have sleep apnea, which essentially is a condition where you stop breathing during the night. People with untreated sleep apnea will go through this cycle where they're breathing and then they stop. You won't always be aware of it. You might choke or gasp or cough or something to get yourself breathing again, but often it's a partner that lets you know there's an issue. The only way to know for sure, though, is to do a test, and that's what we're offering today for free at home in your own bed. A really easy, obviously affordable way to find out if you have this issue.
We love free on the Movie Show, so you're speaking our language here. So free sleep screening, you take the test home, and I've done it. It takes one night, and it really isn't intrusive. You just have to remember to do it. That's the main thing.
By the way, the point is you got to do it that night, because I did it the wrong night, and it didn't record anything. So I flunked my first test.
You flunked your test, but then you passed.
I did, sort of.
He passed he has sleep apnea. Good job, Steve.
Yeah, nice work.
But that's the thing. You won't know if you have sleep apnea until you get tested for it. So here's a chance to do that for free. 801-716-8672. That's the number. You want to make sure you remember that. But once they do that, they have their appointment. You guys go over the results of the test. What would they find out?
We're going to see all sorts of information. For example, what's going on with your oxygen and your heart rate during the night? That's super important. Do you stop breathing? How long does it last? You know, some people stop breathing for up to 2.5 minutes. They have no idea until they do the test. We're also going to see what happens as you change body position. You know, a lot of people out there say, oh, I only snore when I'm on my back. And we'll see stuff like that. It is a very comprehensive, legit sleep screening. The test will help you qualify to get the oral appliance through insurance. So insurance companies recognize this test.
Awesome. And we will talk about payment as well. But the number to make that free appointment, 801-716-8672. Everybody who makes an appointment today and then shows up, 2 free movie tickets.
That's a great deal.
Perfect Movie Show giveaway. Sound Sleep, 801-716-8672.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, road construction is holding people up on Bangerter Highway. The worst of it is eastbound as you come around the curve in the Draper area heading over toward 2700 west. And also if you're northbound Bangerter around 9800 south. And then we have some unusual slowdown southbound I-15 leaving Bangerter Highway approaching the point of the mountain. But that's the only issues I'm seeing right now across the Wasatch Front. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com, affordable windows guaranteed. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Winds from the southwest will increase temperatures as well as wildfire danger today. And today's high could set a record at 90 degrees. Highs drop into the 80s through the weekend. 70 and sunny right now. I'm Dan Bomis from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
I want to start this with a very heartfelt thank you to Mountain Home Services. They are supporting and sponsoring a very important special that my producer, Caitlin Johnston, and myself have been working on, which airs tomorrow, Saturday at 1:30. Of course, it's 194th semi-annual General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and our coverage starts here at 9:30 tomorrow morning. And then this special air at 1:30. And Mountain Home Services, of course, you call them for all your electrical, your HVAC, and now fireplace needs. But they are sponsoring this 30-minute special, Dave, that Caitlin and I have been working on for safer dating. And both of us are very passionate about keeping everybody safe while dating, because we're just dating in this time where we're all meeting online now. And so we're dating and meeting perfect strangers. And this special that we've worked on, of course, is part of our new podcast that launched in June called Dating at Her Age on DIY background checks. And we've compiled a list of different websites that we use, public websites. Some are free, some are very low cost, that we talk about during that 30-minute special tomorrow afternoon.
And I'm so glad you did this, because when I first met you, you're an investigative reporter. You've been a journalist for decades, and you know where to go and how to find things out. So not everybody has that breadth of knowledge and that experience at their fingertips. You do. So you've been able to make it more accessible, so just the regular person out there can go out and find, okay, does this person have a scary history that I'm going to meet for coffee or go out to dinner?
Some people will tell me, like, I don't understand why you're so paranoid about this. And then I'll lean in and say, do you have a daughter who dates? And then the light bulb will go off. Do you have a son who dates? It's like, oh, what about your sister? What about your best friend? Oh, I remember that time my best friend dated somebody and just things felt really off. And then if you're like my co-host of Dating at Her Age, Caitlin Johnston, you're part of what's called the Investigative Friends Unit. When you and a group of friends noticed that a friend of yours, a good friend of yours, was dating somebody and something just felt off, but she was unaware of it.
Yeah, there was just a vibe. Things just didn't make sense in his lifestyle, I guess. So we just ended up doing a quick Google search and found some articles that led us to finding that he was a registered sex offender. And it was just kind of eye-opening, one, how easy it was. You do have to have their name, so that helped. We had his real name. But it's just very important to look into these things, because she had no idea. But it took us kind
of
like questioning.
He hadn't disclosed that.
No.
Dave.
Absolutely not.
If you're dating online,
not saying on date number one, but
I'm just saying, if you're dating online and you're not, if you're like Dave and you're not dating and you're not online, these websites, these profiles that people post won't include, by the way, here's my criminal rap sheet, right?
There was more than that too. He was on most wanted lists. And so that's why I
most wanted list?
Yeah, there's more. I talk a little bit more about that in the special. That's not my story to tell totally. It's just an example of how, you don't know who you're talking to. And doing that due diligence might seem intense and kind of over the top, but it's important.
Yeah. So how do you go about? What can you tell us? I mean, obviously, it's going to be far more comprehensive in your special, but how does a DIY background check work?
So let's just take Caitlin's example. Her friend's dating somebody, things felt off, but his crimes have occurred in other states. Okay, so he's a sex offender who's moved, and the first step that we would take, and you learn this through our special and also through our podcast. We have an hour-long episode just on DIY background checks. Make sure you have their real name. Okay, and there's different ways to verify that you have their real name, and we go into that in our special. And then from there, what people might not recognize is that there is a national sex offender registry. The Department of Justice compiles the names of sex offenders who are registered in individual states throughout the country. So you don't have to go combing around through all of the different sex offender registries. Now, in Caitlin's case, she took a simple step and she Googled him, and he happened to come up in newspaper articles.
Yeah.
And that's great. Then the next step, though, would be put him in that national sex offender registry and find out if what the offenses were. You get a photo of the individual, and it will also list the generalities of what their crimes were.
How do you get the real name?
So there's a method to that as well, and I also talk about that in the special. It's tricky because on dating sites, only a first name is posted, or sometimes it's a
nickname.
I've seen men post their photos and dating profiles and be like, whatchamacallit. Now, I'm 57 years old. Caitlin is 29, so she doesn't see that as often.
No.
Yeah, she's like, what is that all about?
But you usually just get like a first name, and you don't know if it's spelled correctly.
So
you don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
First thing you do is, what's your name? What is your full name? I'm just like, I am very passionate about my safety while dating. So what's your full name? If they don't give it to you, that's a red flag.
So you
will ask.
Lay your cards on the table. Mm-hmm. You'll just be very transparent. Yeah. Hey, what's your full name?
If you've been through experiences, which I have been through experiences where you end up meeting people with a criminal history, and you find that out later. You ask that up, it's like I got to ask that up front. So do that. And then there's different websites that I use that I talk about in the special that I go to, that are my go-to websites. And some people will say, well, don't you just check social media? To some extent, but I have had my Facebook page spoofed. There's a fake Facebook page out there of Debbie D. So I am conscientious about which social media sites that I check, and Caitlin and I both agreed on this, that we prefer LinkedIn, mm-hmm. and explain to Dave why we go to LinkedIn more often.
Well, LinkedIn is more of a business-oriented social platform. It's just, so you're looking for jobs on LinkedIn, so you're more likely going to have more accurate information than Facebook or Instagram or
better
anything like that.
Picture. So. That's just the tip of the iceberg of how we search.
Dating at her age, it's such a great resource, and I know it's probably geared toward women, but I think men can actually get something from it as well.
So can I just make a note of that? I want to thank all the men who have messaged me, who have messaged Caitlin and I, who say they listen to our podcast. And we've gotten emails from men who've asked us questions, and some of them are just curious about how women think. Others are learning information and tips about what to do with their own dating profiles or how to do their own background checks. Look, crimes or massive amounts of debt are not gender limited. So I think this is thank you for pointing that out, Dave. I think it's a great podcast for anybody who's dating, or if you have kids who are dating, or your best friend, or your sister, your brother's dating.
And anybody that may want to minimize this or think that you're overreacting, can I speak
Yes.
to anybody that might think that way? I read a book one time from Gavin DeBecker. He's an FBI profiler, and I will never forget this. I tell all my kids about this. He said, at its core, men are afraid that women will laugh at them, while at the core, women are afraid that men will kill them. And if you have that understanding, that is their biggest fear, then Debbie, when you ask, what's your real name? I'm very concerned about my safety. I would have absolutely no problem giving you that name. I would understand it. I wouldn't be offended in any way about it. And I think you need to be bold enough to ask those tough questions because your safety is paramount. So I'm looking forward to this. When is it? When does it run?
1:30 tomorrow. 1:30 tomorrow afternoon right here on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Listen to what actual clients have had to say about working with us.
Hi, I'm Gary. I'm a building contractor. About a year prior to the market crashing, we had a big job that was unable to pay a bill of about 6 figures. We were still left with a very difficult situation with the IRS. Eventually, at the end of the day, I realized that the penalties and interest were growing faster than my ability to save to deal with it. I had talked to people and I felt that Jordan Wilcox represented best what I thought could help me, primarily because they were local, and I needed a bigger solution than I was coming up with. It takes too long to figure it out on your own.
Hi, I'm Jordan Wilcox. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Visit taxhelput.com to schedule your free consultation.
I would recommend Jordan Wilcox. It feels very good to not have the IRS on your back.
That's taxhelput.com.
It's the movie show, guys. We are minutes away from starting the show. We are at Sound Sleep today in Sandy at one of their 6 locations. This is a place where today, for movie show and KSL listeners, we've got a special offer. Melissa Lowry from Sound Sleep, what is that offer?
Call in right now. The number is 801-716-8672. You will automatically get a free sleep screening, which is a test you get to do at home in your own bed. A free sleep consultation where you come into one of our offices and we'll give you those results. And just by calling and coming into your appointment, 2 free movie tickets today.
That is awesome. On the movie show, we love giving away free stuff. And the most appropriate is movie tickets. And this is just coming to the appointment. So you'll get 3 free things if you make that appointment with Sound Sleep. You'll find out if you get, you'll get the sleep test for free, reading the results and interpreting the results, which, by the way, you can have those results sent. If you already have a sleep doctor, you can have those results sent to your sleep doctor. They recognize it. It's great. And I've actually done the same thing. I've had you guys trade with my sleep doctor because I had a CPAP machine for 12 years, and I was like, I really want to try what it's like without it. And I tell you what, it is great. I sleep on my right side so much better with this oral appliance. So without a CPAP, what are we talking about? I said an oral appliance, but what does that mean?
It's like a custom-made mouth guard. You know, some people have slept with retainers or bleach trays or something like that. It's like that. Very slim, sleek, custom-made, the perfect size, perfect fit for you. You just put them on your teeth at night, and what it does is stabilize your lower jaw, keep your airway open, snoring goes away, apnea goes away, you wake up and you feel rested, which a lot of people have forgotten what that feels like. And
you can get used to not feeling rested all the time. But I tell you what, feeling rested is way better.
It's absolutely way better. And then most importantly, down the road, you're staying healthier, living longer because you've treated your sleep apnea.
So let's find out. You may not have sleep apnea. Maybe you just have regular snoring. But here's a way to find out for free. Call 801-716-8672. Make that appointment with Sound Sleep right now.
Doesn't everything feel so expensive? Groceries, gas, there's just not a lot left over for fun. Let's pass on the best-kept secret. This is the Pass. It's a pass for family fun and everyone at This Is the Place Heritage Park. On sale now. ThisIsThePass.com. All annual passes are 362 days of fun. On sale October 1st through October 31st. Unlimited train or pony rides. Splash pads. Discounts off retail. Panning for gold. Hand cards. And historical memorials and entry to all season bonus events. Don't pass on this opportunity. This is the Pass. This is the place, and this is your chance for memories for everyone. Purchase yours at ThisIsThePass.com. ThisIsThePass.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a man who is being evicted from an apartment accused of stabbing a constable with a sword. Second, a weed patch beneath the freeway overpass in Salt Lake being turned into a community asset. And third, the FBI looking for the organizers of a nationwide cryptocurrency scam. Right now, 72 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. The following preview has been rated G and is appropriate for all audiences.
Is this movie, what is this movie rated? First of all, Dave has the honors of pronouncing this Joker movie this weekend.
Joker, folie à deux.
Is that what it is?
I think. I don't know. You say it with enough confidence, people think you speak French.
Hi, movie guys. Is that how Dave's supposed to say it?
Joker.
Joker.
Folie à deux.
Is this a Is this a scary horror movie?
No, this is Joker. Well, I mean, it's definitely not.
It's not a comedy.
It's not a comedy. It's not a kids movie. I'll tell you that much. But
I love cartoons.
Well,
is this the
you're
same
in luck.
Joker? No, this isn't a cartoon. I know.
No, it does begin with a cartoon made by the people who won an Academy Award for their cartoon, something the Triplets of Belleville, I think it was. Yeah, so
it actually begins with a Warner Brothers cartoon.
Yeah, it looks like it's right out of a Looney Tunes. Wow. Joker is at war with his shadow, and it sort of foretells what's coming up in the movie, which I thought, man, that is really creative that he came up with that.
So it's the same director as the first Joker movie, Todd Phillips, and the first Joker movie grossed $1 billion.
What?
So there was yeah, actually like 1.4 billion. Like it was a massive number, and so there was going to be a sequel, and this is what we get. And
well, Andy and I are going to be at odds on this one because I actually I didn't like the first one because his maniacal laugh just went on and on and on. It drove me nuts. And I guess that was the point. But this movie is about him finding love. He sees this young woman played by Lady Gaga. She's in a music therapy class. They're both at Arkham Institution at prison, for troubled people. And he falls in love. And he can't really tell her. But that's where I know this is going to sound crazy, but it becomes a musical. They sing songs to each other, these American standard classic songs, and they sort of build a relationship based on a little bit of the music. But I just thought, oh my gosh, this is actually intriguing. It's not an easy watch at all, but I was fascinated by the process, what Todd Phillips was trying to do here, and Joaquin Phoenix saying that he wanted to do a little bit more Joker. So I ended up liking it. Andy had a different.
So folie à deux, actually, it's French for a delusion or mental illness that's shared by two people in close association. For me, I thought that was maybe the most clever thing, was that the title of a second movie, they were able to work the word deux in French.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
And it kind of foreshadowed what the movie was about. But as I was watching it, first of all, for me, this was like the mirror image. In the first one, I thought that the movie was so incredibly technically well made and interesting visually, and I just hated the story, and I'm just opposed to glorifying Joker. He's Batman's villain, and I don't really care why he is. He just is, and that's all he needs to be for me. But in the second one, so I was like, all right, but I actually thought it was an interesting story about mental illness.
Yeah.
And now in this one, I already know he's mentally ill, so what's the interest part here? And so every time I thought I was understanding what the interest part here was, then they would twist it some other way to where I was like, okay, well then wait, what was the point of this then? And I finally got to the point where I was like, if this didn't have the DC characters, like if it didn't have Harvey Dent as the attorney, if it didn't have Harley Quinn as the love interest, would I care about this movie? And I'm not sure I would. That was how I felt about it.
I am so looking forward to you guys speaking about this.
Yeah, we're going to go toe to toe on this one.
This really is one of those movies that I'm intrigued by. The first one was a grind, just in the sense that it was well made, it was incredibly well acted, but I also felt like I needed to take a shower afterwards. It was such a brutal watch. It wasn't enjoyable, but it was interesting for me. So I look forward to your analysis. I probably will go see it. Joker comes out. That's the big story or the big movie this week. All right, what's the big question of the week?
Well, the movie show question is, what movie gave you the best in-theater movie experience that you didn't expect going in? So what I'm saying is, like, if you knew that this movie was going to be epic and you went and it was epic.
Right.
We're looking for something where you were just like, when you finished the movie, you're like, that was so amazing, and wow, it was even cooler being here in the theater watching it.
Yeah.
All right, mine is You guys are going to think it's shallow, but I'm going to go for it anyway.
I want to be a part of the people that make meaning, not the thing that's made.
I mean,
Debbie, Barbie is your answer for every question.
I know it is.
You need to see more
I was
movies,
hoping
woman.
you didn't notice. How did you figure that out?
How did I figure out that Barbie's your go-to?
I was crying through this movie. I went back and saw it again. I encouraged my whole family to go see it, and I was not expecting to be taken that aback by Barbie, and I would see it again. In fact, it's. I've thought about buying it on at home on.
Wait, you
I don't know.
haven't?
I know, right? So
Don't
Barbie.
apologize for that. That's
Yeah,
that's
I
your
did
thing.
love
and
that
that's why I
movie.
say that it fits the question. If
And
it fits each
Yeah,
question,
and I
then
didn't
that's
think
great.
I was going to like it. I just went to it out of obligation to you guys.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you. Dave's got one. He's got a good one.
Okay, this, again, there's a lot of movies I've had great experiences with. This one really surprised me. Silver Linings Playbook.
I like to run by myself, okay?
Me too.
Hey, I like to run alone. Will you stop? Okay?
What?
I'm running here.
Me too.
I was so amazed at this story. I thought it was, this is going to be kind of an interesting, rom-com type thing, and it went in, and it had depth. It was humor, incredible acting. I just walked out of that movie. I watched it all by myself. I just went because no one else was interested in going to it with me, and I remember walking out. I'm like, that was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, love that movie.
That's awesome. Andy, we got 30 seconds for yours. And Steve, I don't see one for you, so you're going to have to keep us
No,
waiting,
we'll do Steve.
I guess.
We'll do Steve.
Okay.
Well, mine's quick. Godzilla -1 was a movie that I thought, okay, how many times do we have to watch Godzilla? But this one was so well done. It was the best Godzilla movie out of 20 others, and so
Really?
that one blew my mind.
Wait,
yes.
which one was that? Godzilla
There was the one that
-1.
just came out last December. It's not part of the Godzilla vs. Kong franchise.
No.
It was done by the original people, and it won Best Effects Oscar last year, I
think
believe.
that's right.
Andy, we got 7 seconds.
That was
Go.
mine, too.
Oh, yours is Godzilla?
No, it wasn't.
No, I do. That was one that I would have said had I said. Look, for me, it was Star Wars. It always was Star Wars.
See, hers is Barbie, yours is Star
mine's
Wars.
Star Wars.
All right.
But I did
Andy.
expect it to be fair. I'll do another one when we start the show.
Have fun, you guys.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. It's conference weekend, the General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints going on this weekend, along with several other events in downtown Salt Lake expected to be crowded. And Utah Transit Authority spokesperson Gavin Gustafson says your ticket to a General Conference session will get you on public transit for free.
We use Sunday to be able to maintain the rails, so Front Runner will not be running on Sunday, but Trax is still available.
In addition to General Conference, there's also a UFC event and a trade show. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A stronger than expected jobs report out today from the U.S. Labor Department. Julie Sue is the acting secretary.